dragon eye project. So this is going to be part of the Things That Fly week. So we're going to make a nice big dragon eye. Originally I said it was going to be on a rock. I'm going to show you how to do it on a piece of paper and on a rock as well. So this is going to be the piece of paper video. So what you're going to need a couple of things today. You're going to need pencil, Sharpie, some paint, obviously some brushes and some water to wash your paintbrush, and you're also going to need some clay. So you're only going to need like a smidgen of clay. The clay is going to become the eyelids of our dragon. So next what we're going to do is we are going to use our pencil and we are going to draw our dragon eye. To draw our dragon eye, we're going to make this a really big eye. So I'm going to put a dot here at like kind of the end of my little canvas and at the beginning and end. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to draw like a little, connect the dots with a curved line. I'm going to do it on both sides. So that's going to be our dragon eye. After I have the eye, then I'm going to make like the cornea or the colored part of this eye. So what I am going to do is I'm going to start on the top of the eye, and I'm kind of just going to make a giant, almost a U. It looks like it completes a circle. At the bottom of that U, a little bit above it, I'm going to put a dot, and I'm going to connect that dot to the top of my eye. So there you have its pupil, its cornea, and like the white, but ours is actually going to be black of the eye. That is all I am going to draw, because right now I am going to work on its eyelids. So to make its eyelids, you're going to take some clay, roll it into a meatball, and not a meatball, a worm. And once you have the worm, I'm going to like stretch the ends out a little. And all I'm going to do is kind of place it on the top, and I'm going to press it down into my paper or whatever you have. So press it down so it almost becomes, this is a 3D like painting. So we're using the clay to like give it some depth. So I'm going to do the same thing, make a worm, make the sides really narrow, and I'm going to press it down. And if you press it down, you won't need glue really. If it's not sticking, it'll stick really nicely to paper. If it's not sticking to whatever you have, you could use a little glue, but I'm just going to press it down. So now it is becoming part of my little canvas. So I'm going to I have some paints over here. I have a very messy paint plate. So I have some paints over here. What I am going to do is I'm going to use like a light green for my eyeball. And then I'm going to make my dragon orange and red. So you're going to need a small brush, especially with all those little details. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the colored section of my eyeball. So I'm just going to use that light green. I'm actually going to add a little more white to it. Add that light green to my eyeball. And you could use whatever colors that you like. It's your painting, so you have a little more freedom than if you were at the studio. I would dictate what colors you would want. All right, so I have my green eye. Next, what I'm going to focus on is I'm going to do the eyelid and the outside of my dragon. So I'm going to make it like an orange color. So I'm going to take some yellow. I have some yellow over here, and I'm going to put a teeny bit of red into it. And this is going to be a friendly dragon. So then I'm going to start painting everything on the outside, including my little lip, my little eye. So I'm going to paint half of it orange. And I'm not being so neat with the inside because this is all going to be black, and black is going to cover the orange. So then I have half of it is orange right now, trying to stay away from your green. You just don't want to get in your green section. And paint all sides of your clay. Get my head in there just to make sure I paint everything. All right, so the next part, I'm gonna use this red. I didn't even wash my brush because I'm gonna end up blending. And I'm using acrylic paint, but you could use whatever paint you have. If you have colored clay, you could just paint right over it. I'm gonna flip it so it's easier to paint. Alrighty, so I have my dragon eye painted. Now what I'm going to do, wash your brush real good, and we are going to add our black. So the inside's going to be black here, and take your time, outline. You could also use Sharpie if you want to wait till everything dries and then just use Sharpie for this. And you're going to do the outside of the eye, and this is where you want to take your time because you don't want to get any of that black on the clay. If you do, it's no problem, but and it's best a little bit of paint goes a long way. And I'm going to flip it. Let's make it easier. All right, so you're gonna let this dry, and then we're gonna come back and add some Sharpies. But before we do that, there's one last thing we have to do. And you're gonna use the back of your paintbrush, and we're just gonna add a little light reflection, and we're gonna add it in the pupil of this eye so you could really see it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna, using the back of your paintbrush and a little bit of black paint, just make one little dash going down, and then I'm gonna make a second one too. And that's gonna be his light reflection in his eye. So we're gonna let this all dry, and then we're gonna come back and add Sharpie details. For the next step, we are going to use a Sharpie, and we are going to finish our dragon eye. So what we're going to do is with these Sharpies, we're just going to add scales. Simple as that. So what I'm going to do around my eye, I'm just going to add like almost a layer of little circles. And this is a little tedious. If you don't have a Sharpie, you could also use a crayon. Make sure your paint is really dry before you do this because it will ruin the Sharpie. We've gone through many Sharpies ruined because drawn on wet acrylic paint. But you could also use a Crayon. Crayon over acrylic paint actually has a really nice effect. And I'm using a big Sharpie. You don't need a big Sharpie. You could use whatever Sharpie you have. seeing that it's so little, it's fun to keep on twisting it around. Some of my paint wasn't totally dry, but have a piece of paper nearby, you could take some of that paint off. All right, so next what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna add scales, and my scales are almost like little U's with another U's underneath them. So I'm just gonna start, over here and just add my U's, and I'm just adding rows of U's. And they don't have to be perfect. We're just giving the appearance of texture, a scaly texture. Scaly texture, and then when I get to the top, all I'm going to do is make like U's on the top and then bring them down. And then also, while I have my Sharpie, I'm just gonna add some texture to my eyelids. I'm just almost gonna just add like lines, just to give it something. And there I have my dragon eye staring at you. All right, so once you're finished with your creation and it's all dry, take a picture of it and post it on social media for us to see, or you could send it to us. At the end of each week, we're going to make a compilation videos, and we're going to post on our social media, so even though we are apart, you could still see other people that are participating in the camps. All right, hope you have a good day.